part of Angular 1. Here we are going to see about services. So a couple of scenarios are following this slide where we can see different types of services which is being provided and used, consumed by somebody. Before moving into the slide, I just want to give some scenarios to you. Maybe like you are getting getting admission for someone in school or in college. Your school and college is providing you transportation. What do you say that? Guys, please interact.
Services.
It's a services, right? Is it mandatory for you that to take up that consume that service?
No, ma'am.
All right. So service is provided by Angular framework, which is not mandatory for us to always take it up. It is optional case. It's an optional case that it may provide you the service based on your requirement. It will not force you to take any service. All right. Fine. I am going to create an account in Facebook or Twitter or any other website, maybe like some website where I can search for a job. In those kind of websites, I'm going to limit my age. I'm going to limit my age. That maybe for website A, age should be between 23 to 45. Some other website is having age should be between 25 to 50 or 25 to 40. Some other website is having age should be 20 to something else. So the limitation, some data is given as limitations, right? Website A is giving some input, website B is giving some input as limited age. So those age can be shared across all the pages. All the pages in that website is getting the common input, common data. That data can also be provided with the help of services. So here, before getting into some scenarios, let me open my Visual Studio and keep it ready. I haven't shared my Visual Studio. Okay. I think it's visible now. I'm
Yes, ma'am.
opening a folder. In D drive, a new folder. Service demos. Inside this folder, let me create ng new service demo 1. All right. Say, imagine, I'm just putting one more scenario here. There is a party hall. Is everybody is listening? Are you all with me?
Yes,
ma'am.
There is a party hall. Imagine the party hall is your Angular framework. So you're going to just conduct your party there. You're not going to build up a floor, build up the lights, build up the decorations. You're not going to build up the walls. Nothing you're building up. It's a framework. Everything is already built. You just go celebrate, come back. So it's an Angular framework. Imagine you're going to conduct one birthday function there. So when you are going to book a hall, they provide you some services, right? They will provide you some services like backdrop, background design, or popcorn service, ice cream service. Do we need whatever services we need there? We can select them. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Apart from that, I want my own service. I want my own service as return gift. Return gift to my my family people, or return gift to the people who have joined me in the party. Now I want to give this return gift to all the components. Should I 10 times go to, if I have 10 people in my party, 10 times should I walk to the shop and get the return gift?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So one time you will go buy everything and keep it ready, right? So you are not repeating any task. One time you will prepare your return gift and keep it ready. So your one time preparation is your service. One time you are preparing a service, that is return gift, and you're keeping it ready to give to all your members who have joined the party. This is one way. What is the other way? Now, I feel like I don't want to give the return gift to all the people. I can assume all the people has a components here. I don't want to give it to all the components. I am having 3 modules. Guys module, girls module, kids module. Now I want the return gift to be given only to kids module. So my service, I'm not using any predefined service. My party hall is giving me a predefined service like ice cream, popcorn. I may use it, may not use it. But now I am going to create user defined service, that is return gift. If I want, I can give it to all the components. If not, I want to specifically give to some components, kids alone. So I can group those components as modules. And to those modules alone, I can give the service. That is also possible. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So to specific component alone, if you want to give to the birthday boy alone or to the birthday baby alone, I want to give some service, that is also possible. So generally, Angular framework will provide you some services. There are some set of predefined services. You can avail those services. If not, you can create a user-defined service. Your service may serve all the components or to the specific component that belong to one module, 1 or 2 module, that's up to you, or only to one component also, that is possible. The base idea is clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so here I have created one Angular application. So in this Angular application, I have my app module.ts. App module.ts is bootstrapping app component. My app component is having a template of app component.html, app component.html. Let me remove all the content here. Let me generate some components. Ng generate component employee component 1. Okay, I'm not inside my project. So let me enter into my project and I'll create one component. Okay, so the component is getting created. By the time, let's quickly switch here and see what's the first scenario they have given to us. All right, then it's invalid. Let's complete there and go. Okay, it's created. Now, from my app component.html, let me call my employee component HTML element. And here in my TS file, let me have employees. Let me have a variable called employees. So what it is now? What is employees?
Array. Empty array.
Employees is an array. Okay.
Array.
What is employees now?
Array of objects.
Array of objects,
Objects.
right? Okay. Okay, it's deprecated, so I will not like to use keywords. Name, not required of quotes. Age 25. Okay. So I'll use same values here again. I'm just copying the values, pasting it here and here. Let me change the IDs. Names. Age also to something. Okay. In my employee component, let me remove this, and inside H2, employees info. And here, let me interpolate employees. Employees is my employees. What is employees?
Object.
Yes, array. Array of objects. Dot. Let me take ename. So can I directly access it like this? Can I directly access it like this?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So what is required? So I took you here. It is, you said array of objects, right? So how do I access it here?
Index number is required or else for loop.
Right. As it is an array, we need a for loop here. Instead of for loop, what can we use in HTML? We have learned something here to be used. What is that?
G4.
NG4.
Very good. Inside the div, let me move this inside the div, and ng for a local variable I need.
Employees. Yeah, ma'am. Just employees.
Okay. So now, instead of calling my variable, if I call object.ename, is it fine?
Yes, ma'am.
What is wrong in this? Let me serve this. By the time, I'm adding one more terminal. And I'm gonna create another component, ng generate component, emp comp 2. I'm generating another component. So let's see whether it's served. Okay, let me share my entire screen. So is the employee info, employee name, Manu, Ajay, and Priya is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So the general normal flow is what? Index.html is calling your app component, and in your app component.html, you're calling your app employee component 1. Employee component 1 is making use of the data which is available in this file. Correct? Now, let me
Yes, ma'am.
use this same. Let me use this same in my another component, employee component 2. I'm just copying that code. And here I want to see this. I want to see employee name or employee age here. Maybe this component is going to calculate the retirement. So I want to know the age here. See, your age is so and so. You're going to be retired this year. I want to display that message here. I want to take that information here. So what is the way? What is the way? The employee's information is here. Should I copy this simply from here to here?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm copying this simply from here to my TS file of my employee component 2. Are you getting my point?
Yes, ma'am.
In this TS file, I have in component 1, I have employees information. In component 1 HTML, I could able to access it. Now I want this information, this employee's information, I want it to be accessed by component 2. My component 2, when I'm trying to access it or display it, it is giving me a problem that it is not available in your TS file. So what do? Should I copy that values here? Should I copy that object here? Will it be a good practice of repeating code?
No, ma'am.
No, this is not a good practice. So what do we need to do? This will still
And we can
this
pass the
Export
values.
one component.
okay. If the file size is very huge, as well there are many components which is going to use, then will you simply export?
Com2.
Now what you will do is, now you will go and use the option of services. Now you will go and use the option of services. Instead of doing same work, storing same values. These employees values are stored in component 1.ts also. Component 2.ts is also having same values. Instead of doing this, I can store these values in a service and inject to the component wherever is required. So what we are going to do now? We will create a service. Could you able to get my point? Why we need a service here?
To access values in different components.
Yes, I want same set of values to be accessed in different components. Instead of rewriting again and again the same code or declaring the same variables again and again, storing the same values again and again. So this is like redoing your work. I don't want to redo my work again and again in different components. Rather, I will write it in one service. The values will be stored in one service, and whichever component needed, they can just inject the service and use it. What is inject? Yes, I'll tell you. Please wait. But before that, I'm generating one service. ng generate service with service name. So here I'll create my service as employee details service. Employee details service. So when you create a service, there will be two files created. One is a file where you are going to write your logic, and the other one is your spec file where you are going to test your logic. Spec file is to test your logic. .ts file is the place where you will write your logic. Now, I will copy this. I will cut this and I will add it in my service. Before adding it in my service, just have a look of my service file. At injectable. At injectable is a decorator for a class, normal class, Angular class. A normal Angular class is decorated with at injectable, so it becomes a service class. So it becomes a service class. Injectable decorator having one property called provided in. Provided in root means this service is available till this root. Till this root, whichever component is, every component can access in this Angular project. As I said, all the people who have joined the party can access this. All right. So let me paste it. So this is the employee information. Whoever is calling the service will get this employee information. Now let me go to my component 1. Let me remove this. Here also I have removed. In component 2 also I have removed. But still my HTML pages should access them. They are giving me error. So how will I use that service in my component? How will I use that service in my component? How I'm going to use it? What is the way? There is a way of injecting. There is a way of injecting. All the services are singleton classes. Singleton is a design pattern. What singleton will do is, please note it, singleton will create one object and that object will be used by all the components. Your service, only one object for your service will be created and it will be used by all the components. So imagine there are 5 to 10 components in my application. In my Angular project, I have 5 to 10 components. First component is using, as it is a singleton object, first component is using releasing the memory. Second is using releasing the memory. Third is using but not releasing the memory. Then in that case, what will happen? Memory leak will happen. A service is being consumed but not released. Then in that case, memory leak will happen. A service is consumed, but after consuming, it is not released. In that case, memory leak will happen. We'll see it in detail, but still, I'm adding a point here. So here, how I'm going to inject is inside the constructor. Inside the constructor, I'm going to inject. So let me have one variable name here as emp info. Emp info is my variable. It is of type my service name. Emp detail service. So see here, from the current folder. From the current folder means I am inside EMP comp1. So see here. Can you see my cursor?
Yes, ma'am.
See here, I am inside my EMP comp1. From EMP comp1, I want to go out to app folder. So one dot. The other dot says go out to the out of app folder also I have to move. So go out of app folder. So I will be inside SRC now. Inside SRC, search for employee details. Employee detail services here. So you import it. So I am importing it. Now my employee info is getting injected. This object, I'm not instantiating. What do you mean by instantiating? What do you mean by instantiating?
Object call.
Declaring object call. Okay. Can I get the answers from different people?
It means giving it
Initializing.
a initial value.
Initializing.
So which keyword you will use to instantiate an object?
This.
In Java, which keyword we will use to instantiate an object?
This dot.
This dot.
No, dear. New. Right. Very good. So we use new keyword in Java to instantiate a class. Here, employee service is also a class. Am I creating any object here?
No, ma'am.
But how I am getting the object of that service? How will I get the object of that service?
EMP.
We're accessing it as a variable.
Because it is an internal process. It's an internal process. We don't explicitly create an object. Somebody else will create object and they will give it to us. Who is creating object? How we are getting it? We will see it little later. We will see that who is creating object, who is providing that object to us. All those things we can see little later. Okay. So inside on init, I'm using that EMP info. Can you see that employee info suggestions? In the IntelliSense, employee info, I have said that it's an object, but we are not creating it with the new keyword. It has been injected. Somebody else is doing. Who is doing that? I'll tell you. But what is this employee info? I have said it is an object, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Employee info is an object of this service class. I have said that this is an object of service class, but we will not use new keyword. We will not instantiate it. Why? Because it is a background process. There is a mechanism to create an object and give it to us. About that, we will see. But why that object is not accessed outside? This is very basic concept of Java. So anybody can answer me. Why it is not accessible outside?
Import export.
Because it's local.
Right. It is local. It is inside the constructor. So what I'm going to do it is, I'm going to change this as a property. A service which is injected, I'm going to make it as a property. Property means I want to make it as private. When I make it as private, it becomes a property. And can you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
can you see after employee info, can you see the right side box? Property. Employee one component dot employee info. It's a property. Can you see that? So
Yes,
as soon as
Yes,
you
ma'am.
inject with the private keyword, it becomes a property. This dot employee info dot employees. I could able to fetch that array.
Yes, ma'am.
Could I able to fetch that array?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And now let me store it in my own variable employee comp1 of any type. I'm making it as any type. This dot employee comp1 equal to. So what I'm doing it here, from that service, I'm fetching the employee information and I'm storing it in comp1. Why? Because I need it for interpolation. For interpolation, I need it.
Ma'am,
Yes.
can you go to previous file? Here, this dot info dot employees result will be array, right?
Yes.
So then why we are not assigning in line 12 as array instead of any?
It's up to us. It's up to us. We can assign. We can assign anything. I may not know for sure what is that. For sure, when I'm calling a service, I may not know what does it is going to return me. Then in that case, I can make it as an any also.
Okay, ma'am.
So now this is done. Okay. So I'm coming to my employee component 2. And let's see how to inject it here. So to inject here inside the constructor, I'm doing constructor injection. Dependency injection is done inside the constructor. I'm not doing it with the help of my lifecycle hooks. I'm doing it with the help of my constructor. Generally, we do dependency injection with the help of constructor. Why? Because each and every time you call your component, I want this service object. Each and every time this constructor is invoked, this component is invoked, this constructor will be called and I want this service object. So we are using dependency injection inside DEI, dependency injection of a service. A service is injected in the constructor. What is lifecycle hook or lifecycle methods? What are lifecycle methods? Any lifecycle methods as of now you know, you have come across. No? Tejas?
Yes.
You know any lifecycle method?
Okay.
Okay, fine. So ng on init is a lifecycle method. Lifecycle hook we will say it as, or else we can say it as a method also. ng on init is one of the lifecycle method. Same way we will see one more method called ng on destroy. It's a lifecycle method which will be called once. So here, let me inject my service again. I want it as a property. So let me make it as a private employee info. Same name or different name, any name. Again, any name we can give. XYZ also I can give. Any name. And my service is EMP detail service. So see, you will be added with an import statement. Only one import is as of now there. I'm adding my service. One more import statement is added. Dot will go out of one folder. Another dot will go to SRC folder. In SRC folder, I'm calling this service to be imported. Now a little change here. Can we have a button? Can we have a button? And I'll write click to view employee information. That's my button name. On click. Event binding. Event binding in round brackets. On click event. I'm going to call a method called disp. I'm going to call a method called disp. So I'm not writing the same code which I have written here. In the component one, I have written it inside on init. I will not write an on init here. Let's write it inside a method. Disp is my method name. In this method, let me make one variable, emp colon any. And in this, so what is my service injector name is XYZ. Whatever XYZ is having, this dot XYZ dot, I will access my employees variable, which is given by your service. Your service is giving this employee array. That array I will take and I'm putting it in emp. This dot emp. So the same code, but I'm not writing it inside my on init. On init will be called when the page is loaded. But here, disp is going to be called when I click on the button. So here, instead of employees, it should work with emp. It's already serving. So let's go here. See, from the first component, Anu, Ajay, Priya is displayed. Whereas in the second component, I didn't write it in on init. I didn't write it in my lifecycle method. Without calling, without any click event or without any event handled, that on init method is called. That's why it's called as lifecycle method, lifecycle hook. It is called as soon as the page is loaded. But here I have written it inside display method. That will be called only if I click this button. So I'm clicking on it. It's displaying me the information. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it clear? If it is clear, can you please raise your hand? If it is clear, can you please raise your hand?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, dear.
Ma'am, in here, inside the ng4, the iterator and the injector have the same name. So is it going to create an issue?
No. This will be considered as a global variable and this will be considered as a local variable.
Okay.
No issues.